What's up guys, it's Seth. Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be ranking all the brawlers based on how realistic their attacks are. Basically, I'll put all the brawlers in one of three categories, either unrealistic, somewhat realistic, or very realistic. I'm not going to be including any of the brawlers' supers, and I won't include any star powers or gadgets that might change the brawler's attack. I'm also going to disregard the fact that all the brawlers have infinite ammo throughout the match. For example, there's no way Mr. P would be able to carry that many suitcases to throw at people in a match. We're just going to rank the brawler's basic attack and how realistic it would be in real life. We'll start with Shelly and go through all the rarities, ending with Surge, and placing them all in their categories. And please don't take this video seriously. I'm not criticizing Brawl Stars. Obviously, this is a video game and it's not going to be accurate to real life. This is all just for fun. So starting out with Shelly, Shelly shoots a shotgun which does more damage up close. I'm placing her in the very realistic category because this is accurate to real life. And while we're talking about shotgunners, I'm going to go ahead and put Bull and Daryl in this category along with Shelly because they also use shotguns. Nita creates a shockwave to damage enemies at medium range. I'm putting her in the unrealistic category because it's not possible for a human alone to create a shockwave like she does. Next is Colt. Colt fires 6 bullets from his 2 6-shooter revolvers. That means he only shoots 3 bullets from each. I don't know why he doesn't shoot all 6 bullets from each gun at a time, but his attack is very realistic. Jessie uses her shock rifle to shoot energy orbs at enemies. There's no way this would work in real life. Even if she was able to shoot energy orbs from a gun, they wouldn't be able to travel as far as they do in the game. They would disappear if they were just shot into the air. And I'm not sure why a little girl has a gun that can shoot balls of electricity. Brock has a rocket launcher that can hold 4 rockets. I'm going to put this in the somewhat realistic category because although handheld rocket launchers do exist, I don't think there are any that can hold 4 rockets at a time. Dynamite is a crazy miner who throws sticks of dynamite at enemies. Although this is extremely dangerous, he seems to know how to handle dynamite, but I'm putting him in the somewhat realistic category because the explosion of his dynamite would be much bigger in real life. Bo shoots 3 arrows from his bow with explosive tips. This is definitely very realistic in real life. Although it would take a lot of practice to be able to shoot 3 arrows at a time, it's definitely possible, and it wouldn't be very hard to put an explosive on the end of an arrow. Tick is an energetic robot who throws 3 mines with each attack. All his mines always land in a perfect triangle. It would be very unlikely that the mines would always land in the same spot. For that reason, I'm going to put Tick in the somewhat realistic category. 8-Bit is an arcade machine who shoots blaster beams. I'm not sure what blaster beams are, and I don't think they exist in real life, so I'm going to put 8-Bit in the unrealistic category. Ems is a social media influencer who attacks enemies by spraying them with hairspray. While spraying someone with hairspray makes sense, doing damage to them with the hairspray doesn't. I guess it could hurt someone if it got in their eyes or something, but I'm going to put Ems in the somewhat realistic category. So now we'll move on to the rare brawlers. El Primo's attack is very realistic because he just punches people. The same with Rosa. While the shape of her attack is wider, she also just punches her enemies. Next is Barley. Barley throws bottles of poison at people. I'm going to place him in the very realistic category because glass bottles would definitely do damage to people. And I guess the poison inside the bottle is some kind of acid that burns whoever it lands on, because if it was a normal poison, you would have to ingest it for it to hurt you. So Barley is going in the very realistic category. Now for the super rares. Poco's attack just doesn't make any sense. He plays his guitar, which creates damaging sound waves. There's no way a guitar can do that in real life, so Poco goes in the unrealistic category. Rico is similar to Colt's attack, where he shoots bullets with his gun, but unlike Colt's attack, his bullets can bounce off walls. I do think that this is pretty realistic. If his bullets were made out of a rubber or some bouncy material, they would definitely be able to bounce, so I'm putting him in the very realistic category. Penny shoots a pouch of coins from her gun. Then when the pouch hits an enemy, the bag explodes and the coins hit enemies behind the initial target. I'm going to put this in the somewhat realistic category because although you could technically shoot a bag of coins, you would need a much bigger, more powerful gun. Carl throws his pickaxe at enemies and then it returns like a boomerang. He could definitely throw a pickaxe and it would do damage, but a boomerang doesn't come straight back to you. It curves around in a circle and then returns. So I'm going to say this is somewhat realistic. The final super rare is Jackie. Jackie's going to be in the unrealistic category because although her jackhammer would be able to crack the ground around her, it wouldn't do damage to someone. And also the ground around her goes right back to normal. Next are the epic brawlers. Piper's attack is somewhat realistic. She could definitely have a sniper disguised as an umbrella, but the thing that's not realistic is the fact that her bullets do more damage the further they travel. In real life, guns do less damage the further they travel. Pam attacks with her gun that shoots nuts and bolts. I'm not sure exactly how this works, but if her daughter has a gun that can shoot balls of electricity at long range, she could definitely figure out how to build this gun. So this is very realistic. Frank uses his hammer to slam the ground and create a shockwave. Even with a hammer that size, there is no way it would be able to make a shockwave that big. So I'm placing him in the unrealistic category. Bibi basically just hits people with her bat, so obviously this is very realistic. Bee has mechanical drones that hover by her that she uses to attack people. This could definitely be very realistic in real life, so B goes in the very realistic category. Nanny fires 3 bullets. One goes straight while the other 2 shoot at an angle, then meet back with the middle bullet. This is not accurate to real life because the bullets wouldn't be able to travel in that pattern, so Nanny goes in the unrealistic category. Now for the mythics. Mortis uses his shovel to damage enemies when he dashes forward. I don't understand how he's able to dash so far forward because it doesn't look like he's jumping forward and nothing is pulling him, so I'm going to put him in the somewhat realistic category because he could do damage with a shovel, but his dashing doesn't make sense. Tara has a very realistic attack. She throws 3 cards at a time at enemies. The cards have a nice spin on them. Cards need a spin in order to be thrown. If they didn't spin, this wouldn't be realistic. Next is Gene. Gene shoots some kind of magic attack from his lamp. I don't really know what to call it, but obviously this is not realistic because he's a genie and his attack is magic. Max fires bullets from her arm-mounted blaster. But the bullets she shoots are the kind of bullets that you would see in a movie, not in real life. For that reason, I'm going to put Max in the unrealistic category. Mr. P throws his suitcase at his enemies. I would have put him in the very realistic category because throwing a suitcase makes sense, but his suitcases bounce up in the air when they hit walls and enemies, which wouldn't happen in real life. So instead, I'm putting Mr. P in the somewhat realistic category. The final mythic is Sprout. Sprout throws seed bombs that bounce once before exploding, but they will continue bouncing if they hit multiple walls. Seed bombs wouldn't be able to bounce that much in real life, so Sprout goes in the somewhat realistic category. Now onto the legendaries. Spike throws a spike ball that explodes into 6 smaller spikes that shoot off in different directions. I decided to put Spike in the somewhat realistic category because although the spike ball makes sense, the 6 smaller shots always shoot off in the same exact locations, which wouldn't happen in real life. Crow throws 3 daggers covered in poison. The only problem is all the daggers fly straight without spinning. When throwing daggers like this, you have to put spin on them, so I'm gonna put Crow in the somewhat realistic category. Leon throws a handful of shurikens at his enemies. Everything about this is accurate to real life. They do less damage the further they travel, which is accurate, so Leon goes in the very realistic category. Sandy is also going to go in the very realistic category. His attack is pretty basic. He throws a handful of sand along with some sharp pebbles to damage enemies. And finally, the two chromatic brawlers. Gale shoots snow from his snow shooter that he wears on his back. It makes sense to shoot snow, but the snowballs that he shoots come out in a wider spread than the end of his gun. Because of that, I'm putting Gale in the somewhat realistic category. And finally, Surge shoots energy drink blasts at enemies, but when it hits an enemy, the shot splits into two perfect shots perpendicular to the larger shot. Similar to the flaw with Spike's attack, this wouldn't happen the exact same way every time in real life. And also, just shooting an energy drink wouldn't do much damage to enemies. So I'm putting Surge in the unrealistic category. So that's where I'm going to place every brawler for how realistic their attacks are. Remember, obviously this is a video game and a lot of these things aren't going to be realistic to real life. This is all for fun. And also, I don't have one brawler who is the most realistic out of all of them. But let me know if you agree or disagree with any of these rankings. If you enjoyed the video, click the like button and subscribe so you don't miss any of my videos. But thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.